episode rendition. This is Looking Up. I'm Dylan Postl, and here, that's not another screen of me. That's Brad Williams. Hi, buddy.
Oh my God, people are seeing double, and this is the official Dwarf podcast. Marco, me, Rough and Rowdy. This is the show. This is the showcase of the immortals.
We need Wee Man next. He's got to be coming up. He got that WrestleMania push. So I don't. He might be way above me now.
He did, man, and it's crazy because if we ever had something to where me, you, and Wee Man were at the same place at the same time, I'm pretty sure that's when the universe just explodes.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again. You're busy as hell, and I appreciate it for doing this on this small platform, as I say. I feel like so you and we never met until like a long time in us talking. And I was talking to Marco kind of about that too, because him and I didn't meet until we wrestled. And that's just the power of social media and how crazy social media and all of that is, sliding into DMs and all of that. And it's just funny how I was like, man, I feel like Brad's my buddy, but we've never met until you did the comedy show locally.
Yeah. I felt the same way where we had been talking like for over a year or something like that, and we hadn't actually met. So then when we finally did meet, it was kind of like just seeing an old friend and oh wait, no, this is the first time we've ever met. And people were actually in the audience of that show just being like, oh fuck, they are different people. I had no idea. So I'm doing this show in Vegas now. Yeah. It's called Mad Apple. It's a Cirque du Soleil show. But I'm not doing Cirque stuff. I'm not like being shot out of a cannon. Like wee. Like
can you imagine if we could be shot out of a cannon? Like how amazing that would be. Like I thought of that. How much farther they could shoot us?
Oh, I don't even want to say it out loud because I think the Cirque people might be listening, and then they'll like get an idea, be like, all right, we got something for you. But so it's in Vegas, it's at the New York Hotel. Get tickets. I'm doing stand-up comedy in it. Great. Okay, there's the pitch. But
we're gonna plug the shit out of everything today.
Yeah. So at the end of the show, I do meet and greets where I just see everyone who was just in the show, and still people come up and go like, man, what a career. You were in the WWE, now then WrestleMania, and now you're doing stand-up, and now you're doing a Cirque show. And I just have to look at him every time and be like, no, there's more than three of us. It's crazy. And the fact that we both have beards now, like we used to both be clean shaven. Now we both have beards. Now people don't. They think we're doing like an Elias Ezekiel thing. That's what they think is happening right now.
I get Peter Dinklage at least once a week when I'm going through the airports. Always fucking Peter Dinklage. And then, which made like the stuff a few months ago even better, that I could finally just say, hey, fuck Peter Dinklage. Yeah. In my words. But it was like, man, every week it's Peter Dinklage. And I said I can't shave my head because my hair is not coming back. It's my hairline starts about here. And that will just start the Wee Man stuff even more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very glad I didn't follow my high school like dreams of skateboarding because I was so shitty at it, because that made it even worse.
Yeah. No chance.
Like him, he's such like a hero of mine in high school and growing up, like right out of high school. I'm still a Jackass fanatic because that's like our childhood. And so it's even cooler. I was supposed to box him on SummerSlam in 2000. It would have been 7. Jackass was doing like an invasion of WWE.
Wow.
And they were going to do this whole thing where like a big 6-man match. And then one of the matches on SummerSlam was going to be boxing me versus Wee Man, which it would have just been like the doink spot over and over, I have a feel like.
Yeah, like, yeah, it's really interesting to see what would have happened there. And
especially because it was skinny Dylan then. It's not like very portly Dylan as the current years. So it would have been even weirder.
I just figure Vince back in Gorilla just like, midget boxing, this is some good shit.
So when I would do the Under the Ring stuff, he hates the term midget.
Really?
Yeah, Kevin Dunn on headset called me the midget one time. We need to get the midget out from under the ring. God damn it, he has a name. And I was like, haha, he fucking
wow.
This is the best. He hates the word midget. It's a weird, like, yeah.
I love hearing that. Like I swear, you could make a Chicago Bulls Last Dance 10-part documentary series just about Vince, and I want that to happen. There's so many stories I hear that are like, oh God, and then there's so many stories I hear that are like, oh hey, that's good.
It's very this and this. There's not a lot of middle ground.
Yeah, that's awesome. But now he just did something that kind of warms my heart. That's right. Warms my cockles.
Well, I gotta ask some real life stuff because I dig for real life at times, especially because we are very similar in. I mean, we're the same person essentially. So
yeah.
And then I realized you, 1984. I thought you were younger than me, but you're older, and that makes me feel even better about myself at times. Family of dwarves, only dwarf. What's the situation?
Sure. My parents are all tall. I'm the only dwarf in the family. No dwarf siblings. So yeah, it was like everyone just kind of, when I was born, like all my parents' friends were like, how does this happen? I don't know how this. Like they had so many questions that it like you. If it was on a TV show, no one would believe that anyone would ever actually ask that question.
It was normal. Like, it was normal to ask, how does this work? Like, and now it's you can't. I mean, I love asking it, but that's just, I don't care. I always say if I can ask it because I'm messed up as well, so it's okay for me to ask. So
exactly. So all tall people, and then found Little People of America, LPA, a little bit later in life, like 6-7 years old, and then that blew my mind that there are other little people in the world, and you would like show up, and there would be like this mixture of emotions in your head of, oh my God, this is amazing. There's other people just like me, and then there's also that emotion of, oh wait, I'm not special anymore.
Didn't it at times? I mean, it didn't. I got introduced to it like at 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Like into the conventions, and man, that first national convention where there's just like thousands of us, it's very like, oh man, because I'm not used to. I'm very small town Wisconsin, as you know. I saw one in my life, one other one in my life, and it was like, man, this is it was a weird feeling. Yeah, because it's like this isn't the norm, but it should be the norm for. It's just a weird, exactly what you said, and not a forced, but it's like, man, it's almost like, am I supposed to feel like included now? It's just an odd feeling. Yeah. And then when you start going around 11, 12, then it's a whole nother dynamic, because then for the whole year, you become a teenager, you start becoming interested in girls, guys, whatever the hell you're into. And then you're always like friend zoned. And then all of a sudden you go to the convention, and for a week, you're hot. I was hot as shit for a week, and I loved it. 13-year-old Dylan was riding high. Yeah, it's like now girls look at you and they're like, oh no, like Dylan's sexy, Brad's sexy, and you're like, what? and you're so confused by the whole thing to go like to be friend zoned for an entire year, and then people are like, I like you, but not in that way, and then all of a sudden you go and you're a fucking boy band member. It's really a mind trip, man. Yeah. It's really a mind trip. And
I feel that you and I both then, like, now we're at a point where we're like, okay, comfortable around all little people, around all tall people, whatever, like, doesn't make any difference. But like at that time in my life, it was very strange to be around all little people for 1 week out of the year, 2 weeks out of the year, and then back into the quote unquote normal world for the rest of the time.
It is. And it, like you said, you feel like top dog at those because you're with, I mean, it's your community. But then you go back to exactly, and like, then the friend zoned is even worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, even like, I wish you would have seen me. I wish you would have seen me there. I was running game there. Now I'm just the shoulder to cry. No. And it's just, but I really enjoyed them as a teenager.
Yeah.
Because of that, I think most. I never did like the sports or that kind of, but I loved the dances. I loved hanging out with girls. I loved that. But then it became like, oh man, I went to the last one was the summer of my senior year in high school. And then I was like, okay, I'm too cool for these now. I'm above it. And
and now like, have you been, so you haven't been back at all since?
I never have. So when I first got hired by WWE, they didn't like it because it was portraying a leprechaun. I was not liked. And I was like, but I'm like, I'm cash. Like, this is if they knew it was my dream job, I think it would have been a little different. Probably not. But then it's like, so I still have never went. I've never went. Have you? Well, like, I feel like you would kill at one of those things.
So, first off, talking about you in terms of like you're portraying a leprechaun. What I would argue back is like, it's the WWE. You got Kamala doing this shit. You think he's really from no,
Uganda? You know,
there. He's not from Uganda. Like the WWE is the most inclusive because it's at the same time the most racist. Like everyone is a walking stereotype.
Bobby Lashley just did an interview on the network saying, like, up until now, if you were a black wrestler, you were either a militant or a dancer. And I was like, oh my God, he's not wrong.
And then you think back and you're like, oh my God, Coco Beware, Nation of Domination, Ahmed Johnson.
It's crazy, man.
You go through and you're like, oh fuck, Lashley's right. And so
every person from Europe was always a bad guy. And always he'd have the run at the top as he hates America and then to mid-card.
Yep. And you hear that and you go, oh, fuck, that it's like it's a crazy realization. But then I would say that for the people that didn't like you and said like, oh, you were exploiting yourself or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, everyone did. So you are equal. You are equal. You are just like everybody else, which is what we're going for. And I had a similar trajectory as you, where when I first started doing stand-up and getting a little bit of notoriety from it, LPA, not a fan. And they hadn't even seen the show. They hadn't seen they hadn't seen what I was talking about.
What were they against? Just you doing jokes about the community?
Well, because and I found this out later when this is a fun story. I actually got protested. I got protested by LPA.
Not at one of your shows. Please tell me it wasn't a bunch of little people with picket signs.
Well, they were 3x5 cards.
But index cards.
Hell no. Yes. The local chapter, I was doing a show at a comedy club in Livonia, Michigan. It's not there anymore, but it was called Joey's Comedy Club. And the local chapter of LPA found out about it and protested my show and came out and I went out to talk to them because they're like, you have dwarf protesters outside. And I was like, fuck yes, this is going to be hilarious. Yeah. So I went outside and I talked to them and I was like, why? Like, why do you not like me? And they go, because you're exploiting yourself and you say the word midget and you're setting us back. And I go, okay. I go, have you seen my show? Do you know what I do? And they go, well, no, but we know. And I'm like, so I invited them in. At the time, I wasn't selling as many tickets as I am now, so there was plenty of seats available.
Lots of
so I
comps.
was like, yeah. So I was like, hey, come see the show. Tell me what you think. The vast majority of them did not. They said, no, we're not going to go watch your show. And I was like, oh, okay, so you're just going to live in ignorance. Great. But two people did. Two of the little people did come in. They saw the show. And when the show was done, they're like, okay, we get it now. We get what you're doing, because the same way you as a leprechaun is actually equality for little people in terms of you're being treated just like everybody else. With stand-up, I'm allowed to tell the story. There's no writer, there's no producer, there's no tall person that's like, yeah, but I don't know if they're going to like that. It's just me. It's just my story. And
I would think they would love that even more.
Yes. And once they did, those people told some people. A few years later, I actually went back to the convention. I performed stand-up at the convention. And that's when they all went, oh, we were wrong. This is what this guy's doing.
Hell yeah.
This is
that's
really
awesome.
cool.
That's awesome. That's I kind of went. That's an incredible, and it's things like that. It's glad that they did that, but it's also good to be able to shove it. Like, hey, I told you the whole time. Like,
it felt really good.
I'm not poking fun at the community. Like, I'm having fun. I'm making light of life, of what could be horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And because and you probably know this, it's very similar to community wrestlers and comedians. You know that when wrestlers all get together, or when comedians all get together, there's no sensitivity. There's no, I can't talk about Dylan's dwarfism.
No,
none of that. Everything's on the table. They're joking about my dwarfism. I'm joking about that she's a trans comic. We're making black jokes. We're making Asian, like, we're all just like obliterating each other, but it is out of so much love and equality. Like, if a non-comedian or a non-wrestler walked into the group and went, oh, look at this fucking midget,
we say
they would all turn.
Ethan Page and I have become like best friends.
Yeah.
And same as Kurt Hawkins, Brian Myers.
Yeah.
And they often say to me, like, man, this, if other people like with out of our group knew, we'd be done. Like, especially me, because I don't give a shit. I always say I've heard enough shit all my life. It's almost like now I got to fire back. Now I got to make up for all that time. Now I can finally make up for all that time. That's awesome, man.
It's crazy that, and if someone heard those conversations as an outsider, they'd be like, oh my God, they're racist, they're sexist, they're homophobic, they're transphobic, they're misogynistic, whatever. And then, but when you're in those conversations, you realize, no. This is what true equality is. Everyone is on the same level. We're all making fun of each other equally.
And ourselves.
And
we're ourselves. Friends. Being okay with it because we're included. Like, yes. Because we're included in the group for probably one of the first times in our lives.
Yep.
As exactly what you said, as equal, we can joke with each other about other things on an equal platform. That's exactly it. 100% it.
Man.
What we were talking a little bit about your upbringing and that. I went through major health stuff, as a lot of dwarves do. Did you go through back issues, ear stuff, anything?
I was very lucky. I only had one dwarf-related surgery as a kid. It was on my ankle. I had a bowed ankle, and they straightened it out. I really didn't have anything. Now I'm going through back stuff now, but it's more of, it's like muscles stuff, and and maybe you relate to this. It's because I'm a comedian. I don't lift shit. I lift a microphone. Like, that's the most work I do. Maybe my bag when I'm traveling, and that's about it. But then I started lifting my daughter every day, and she was 20 pounds, up and down, up and down, up and down.
I almost put wheels on when Lana was a baby on the car seat. So, because as a dwarf, getting it out of the car and then carrying it, you have to two-hand it. I almost put wheels on the bottom just because I could roll it like next to me, like a little like a smaller stroller. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah. So that's what got me now. But the cool part about being in a Cirque du Soleil show, you can kind of relate to this being in WWE. I hope so, at least. Cirque du Soleil has free physical therapy. I show up and they're just like, "Oh, you're hurting today? Hold on." And then they just work on me. I'm like, this is great. They give me exercises to do. To strengthen the back. And the past like month has just been an insane dramatic improvement.
Good. That's incredible. I had a feeling, but that's awesome. Good. So growing up, entertainment always on your mind, that kind of thing, or what? I wanted to be a wrestler since I was 4.
Yeah.
I then thought, I'm never going to get hired. I need a backup plan. And like in 2004, I got on that test you take. X-ray technician was the highest paying thing. I was like, I'm going to go to school to be an X-ray tech. No, it did not happen. Thank God. I got just quit college, but I always wanted to do it. Is that kind of similar for you?
Yeah. I didn't know I wanted to be a comedian, but I wanted to be show business.
Do you think that's because being out in California?
I mean, I don't know what it was. I think it was just the fact that as a little person, people would stare at me all day. And in my mind, I'm just like, I want to do something that controls the message. Like, I don't want them to stare at me and then they write the story. I want to tell the story. I want to tell them the truth. So we don't hear, it's an old hack joke, but we all experienced it. We don't hear the bullshit of a kid staring and the mom going, "Oh, he didn't eat his vegetables, or he didn't drink his milk, or blah, blah, blah."
God didn't make all of him.
Yeah. What he sneezed.
I always the few I've done, I always say, no, he didn't give him arms or legs. He put it right on his ass. That's exactly where he put all of the clay. Because God just uses like silly putty to make people. So he took no arm there, just put it on his ass and on his skull. That's all they
got high.
Yeah.
We got high when we made us. So I always wanted to do something. And then I saw Eddie Murphy Raw, and a friend of mine showed me that tape. And I watched that and I'm like, oh man, this stand-up comedy, this is awesome. But it's like, if someone said, hey, like when you were a kid, you wanted to be in the WWE, how do you get there? Like, how do you become Eddie Murphy? Like, how do you be a stand-up comedian? You don't really know. And it's not like we had these sorts of podcasts or interviews or stuff like that, which now you can like find detailed information, how to be a pro wrestler, how to be a comedian, how to be a whatever. So you just kind of had to, but like I would do stand-up in like talent shows as a kid, like the high school talent shows and shit like that. And
do you feel you killed it? Do you feel you killed it?
Yeah,
awesome.
I did.
Hell yes. Thank you for saying that and admitting it, because most people, it was the shit. No, that's awesome. Hell yeah.
No, I will say that I killed for me. Like as a 17-year-old kid who had only done stand-up like twice or once or whatever, it was really good for that. I'm sure I would watch it now and be like, ugh. I would just hate it. But at the time, I was like, oh no, that was good. That was fine. And then for Father's Day in 2004, my dad and I went to go see a comedian at the Brea Improv, and the comedian starts making midget jokes.
I have this in my notes.
Yeah. Now half the audience is laughing, and then the audience that's sitting around me is just like, no. Like they're trying to like, no, don't do that. And he notices this. And he goes, why aren't you guys laughing? He goes, what? Is one of them here? And I just raised my hand. He sees me, and he calls me up on stage, and he starts asking me questions. I'm not trying to be funny. I just am talking. And I answer the questions, and my answers got laughs. Like he said, like, hey, what do you do for a living? And at the time, growing up in Orange County, every Orange County kid at some point works at Disneyland. I worked at Disneyland. I said I worked.
No, you
at
did
Disneyland.
not.
I did.
That's
so
awesome.
I said I work at Disneyland. The audience laughs, and I turn to them and I go, fuck you, I'm not one of the 7. And then they start laughing harder, and I'm like, oh, that's a good feeling. And literally after that, I was like, this is what I got to do. I got to do stand-up comedy. So started looking up open mic nights. My first open mic was the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. It was a Tuesday. You show up at noon to sign up. Then you wait like 5 hours and you do a show at 5 o'clock for no people. And that's your introduction. And that's how you start. Kind of like, going through the indies and going through the schools where you're wrestling in front of nobody. You stand up nobody. It's weird. Like there's no real. I mean, that's your tryout if you're lucky enough that someone of substance is watching. But there's no real tryouts, right? It's not a tryout per se. It's just because there's very few times in stand-up where someone can just see you and be like, yes, you are funny. Now here is opportunities. Like that's not necessarily happening. So it's more a tryout for yourself to just go on stage and
what's
see
working,
if you can do it. And I remember the first time I did it, I was like, yeah, I like this. And that was 18 years ago.
So a funny thing, I found that story about you.
Yeah.
My friend took me to see Big J Okerson.
Love him.
At that same place you were at. And we're like front row.
Yeah.
Front or second row. And he starts making midget jokes. And I feel like the hair on my arm starts standing up, and I feel eyes, and I'm going, oh shit. And then he locks eyes with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh, there's one here. Mm-hmm. And then finds out who I hornswoggle stuff and that kind of thing. And it was very much like it almost stopped him in his tracks. And it was like, uh-oh, I'm dealing with one. What do I, this doesn't happen. That's incredible.
And Big J is all about crowd work. That's one of the things he does. So that's very interesting to me that he would have a moment of like, oh fuck, like I normally just say this.
Yeah, it was that, but it was like a stop in the tracks, and it was a but instantly kept going. He was so good, man. He was so good. I instantly fell in love with him.
One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, you'll ever talk to.
Yeah.
Just an absolute sweetheart of a person. That's cool, man. I love that. And I love because I know his crowd work comes from a good place. Like even when he's making fun, it's like 100%. A positive thing. So I like that. I like that he did that with you and you had the similar experience. Was it always wrestling for you? So there was never really a backup plan?
No, never. Literally, I was 4 years old. I said, I want to be a pro wrestler because, and it's like weird because I'm doing a lot of stuff right now with the Major Wrestling Figure podcast and all that. And then wrestling figures is what made me want to be a wrestler because my brother played with wrestling figures. And I was like, the older brother, you always steal their toys and this.
Sure.
And so I stole his wrestling figures to play with them. And then my parents got me the wrestling figures, the first series. And I always say, if it weren't for wrestling figures, I wouldn't be a pro wrestler, which is very weird. But since I was 4, and then I had back surgery right after that, when I was 4 and 6, paralyzed me. And the first thing the doctor said was no contact sports and no trampolines. And I obviously didn't. I always laugh. I was like, obviously I didn't listen. And
wow.
Yeah. But no, I had zero backup plan. And I don't know if you can believe this or not, but Oshkosh, Wisconsin isn't quite the hotbed of wrestling. It's not quite where they're scouting professional wrestlers.
Yeah.
We have overalls, a trucking system, and dairy, and that's it. We don't
there
really.
You go.
So it was a very big pipe dream, and it was very much right place, right time for, when I got trained, and then they were looking for a leprechaun to let him live his dream, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was supposed to be 6 months. Like literally when I got hired, they said this is a 6-month gig, and it got crazy.
And that's incredible, because if people have watched WWE and especially during that time, they would do the gig a lot where two big time wrestlers would be feuding, and then one would make fun of the other one by bringing out the mini version of that, and it was usually this guy named
Short Sleeve Samson.
Yep, Short Sleeve Samson, and he would usually be the mini Undertaker or the mini whatever, and
everything but mini Booker T.
Yeah, that for obvious reasons. That was a place even WWE wouldn't go. So
at that, for midgets, because they did it for everything else.
Yeah, for everybody else. Yeah, that's fine. But so the fact that you came in and they've never really had, like, maybe the
Max Mini was literally it, and that was or Dink. When they had Dink, that was
Dink. That's about it, and that's all the references they had. And then you came in. I don't know how comfortable you are taking compliments, but it's kind of crazy that you came in. Every other dwarf that comes in is a one-off, gone, one-off, gone, one-off, gone, and you came in and had longevity and are now like there. I see the belt in the case behind you. It's fucking cool. Like it's stuff that I stop to think about when I'm doing stand-up, where I stop and go like, oh, holy shit. Like, I can only think of one dwarf comedian before me, Tanya Lee Davis, who's great, who's fantastic. And now she's having a little bit of a renaissance. She's like blowing up on TikTok, which is so fucking cool for her. And so like when I got past the Comedy Store, I'm like, I'm the first dwarf at the Comedy Store. And then they go, nope. And they look up on the wall and there's Tanya Lee Davis killing it. So
it's,
fun. There's like no other.
I don't ever let myself, it's just because who I am. I've watched 4 matches of mine in my whole career because I hate it. I hate how I look. I hate that I pick apart everything Monday morning court. Like, I will not watch my stuff back. 4 different formats. That's it. But it didn't hit me, to be honest, until I got released. And then people like dads are bringing their kids. And as much as it makes me feel old as shit, the kids have watched me on YouTube and I'm going like, Brian Myers, Hawkins, he goes, because he's been a best friend of mine for years now.
Yeah.
He's at the table next to me and he goes, they weren't even born when you had your run. Like, you were fired before they were born.
Yeah.
And they still know of you. And like that's where it's so crazy to me because of the YouTube and the WWE Network and Peacock now, where it's like, man, this is WWE is legit forever lasting. Like, positive or negative, it's forever lasting.
Have you had any scenarios where another dwarf wrestler is training and being like, yeah, I'm here because I saw Hornswoggle do it?
Yeah, and it makes me feel really fucking old. Like, I've wrestled 2 of them and they go, man, I remember I watched you as a kid and all I wanted to do was be you. And I go,
but
okay.
But see, think about what you just said, because that's an insane thing.
I don't think about that.
No, and I try not to either.
I can't,
because it'll trip me the fuck out, and I'll just lock my door and I'll cry in my room all day. When you think about the fact that there was no little person out there, because I've had it happen with me as well, where I was at Montreal Comedy Festival, and a dwarf in a wheelchair came up to me and started talking to me like, hey, big fan, And I'm like, oh, awesome, man. Thank you so much. And I go, oh, so you're here like seeing the comedy festival? He goes, no, I'm in the comedy festival. Like, and I'm like, fuck yeah, hell yeah. And then he stopped and goes, I started doing stand-up because I saw you do stand-up, and now I'm at the Montreal Comedy Festival. And I'm just like, oh, like I'm about to burst into tears. Like, because these guys, would be wrestlers or comics, didn't think they could do that until they saw you, till they saw me, and then they start doing that. So it's a trip, and it's those times when you think, you stop and you go, oh, I'm going on stage for fuck all reasons. I'm going on because that's my job. It's what I do. It's how I make a paycheck. It's a lot of fun. And then you stop and go, oh wait, it actually does have impact.
That's the crazy part, is when you realize, because I say it all the time. I am Dylan from Oshkosh to this day.
Yeah.
And when you realize it's way bigger than that, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. And now the forces will collide on the Jericho cruise in 2023.
So we took a break because I'm still very, very cheap, and I haven't bought the upgraded version of Zoom. I'm not making that stand-up comedy money, that Showtime money. I am making currently Oshkosh, Wisconsin money. But hopefully after this, I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to upgrade after this interview because it's going to do gangbusters. I know it.
Dude, but you're making Oshkosh money, but your Oshkosh money can afford a lot more in Oshkosh than my money can afford in LA. That's for damn sure. Good God.
We don't need to get into that.
But yes, it's already announced, so we're not keeping any kind of secrets here. Both you and I, if you really think that this is all fake, and Dylan and I are doing like some sort of Ezekiel Elias thing, we will be at the same place at the same time on the Jericho Cruise 2023.
I have it in my notes because I'm a goddamn professional.
Look at that.
I do notes now.
Yeah.
I'm going to this is going to be the craziest thing I've done. I have never been on a cruise.
Really?
Yeah. And then fighting you, you're not a fighter or a wrestler. You're a fighter. Like, it's going to be awesome. And I don't feel that the people on the cruise are going to, I don't know what they expect, but it's going to blow their expectations.
Absolutely, man. Now, this is not a dwarf question. This is just a question. Can you swim?
So Kofi Kingston asked me this. Kofi Kingston asked me this. And I've proven to him and a lot of people around me, I'm a hell of a swimmer. Like, okay, I love swimming. I'm real good at swimming. And I feel like our people are good at swimming because we have to at a very young age. We have to be.
Yeah.
And still to this day, if we get Landon, my son, he passed me, I think, at 6 years old in height. And so it was like, hey, Dad, let's go play at. Let me rant for a second. Can we stop building these pools with the basketball hoops, and the basketball hoops are in the fucking deep section? Why? Adults want to play that, but then adults bully other adults and they hit each other and get into fights. Children, our heighted children would love to play basketball on these hoops. You don't need a deep basketball hoop area. You don't need it. No. I would love to play basketball with my son. This is the one time I can. Let me play fucking basketball at a pool. Yeah.
That and he's got the height advantage, but in the pool you can body him. So
the first time. He's not slam dunking on the hoop because he's going to be hauled down by the gravity of water or whatever science calls it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. let's start right now. I'm canceling pools. I'm putting a cancel culture on public swimming pools with basketball hoops. I'm canceling all of them. They need to be in the 3-foot section, not the 4-foot section.
Because now we got to get the ball, get out of the water
from here.
Run on the side.
That's even worse. And have you ever seen our people get out of the pool? It looks like a really fat otter, mixed, like, because we can't just jump up and put our feet on. We jump on our bellies and then scoot and then push up. At least I do, because it helps my belly. It makes me feel good about myself.
It's a whole thing. I'm glad that you and I, while experiencing all the aspects of dwarfism, can still laugh at all the aspects of dwarfism. You kind of touched on it earlier in the interview when we talked about going to LPA conventions and they have sporting events. Now, you didn't do the sporting events, but I will say I did. Dwarf track, funniest thing you're ever going to see in your entire life.
The best.
Funniest thing.
The best.
Dwarf basketball, also very funny, because none of us know how to rebound, because why the fuck would we?
No. So it's just like bumping into each other.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for the ball like this. No one's skying up, grabbing the ball and coming down like Karl Malone style, Dennis Rodman kicking the legs out. None of that. We're just all waiting for the ball, and all the people are like, rebound. We're like, we don't fucking know.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't know. We don't know how to do that. So yeah, those are the funniest things. Like basically the dwarf track, whenever dwarves run against each other, it just looks like 5 Super Mario Brothers got the star at the same time.
I never thought of that in my life, that a dwarf running is literally Super Mario. Honestly.
The smaller one, obviously, not gross.
I feel like it's Super Mario 2, where he's still very short and stocky, because the small one still has the short appendages and he's tiny. Super Mario 2, he's a shorter guy that's kind of husky. Also, why isn't there husky jeans anymore? I grew up on fucking 26 husky. Yeah. Like, that was me. Now there's no husky. We canceled husky jeans.
Well, I mean, because they don't call them fat fuck jeans. Fat fuck jeans would sell. Someone out there, if you got a clothing line, make yourself some fat fuck jeans.
I think this is the minute you start getting sick of comedy and I can't wrestle anymore.
Yep.
Fat fuck jeans. We're making money.
Let's go. Let's make that happen. So do you look at, when Wee Man had his moment at Mania this year, do you look at that with pride, or do you look at that with anger of hey, that should be fucking me?
I look at that instantly at my cell phone when I slid into Sami Zayn's text and be like, hey man, hey, why don't we go for Backlash? Maybe we do some WrestleMania Backlash. I still got my tight pants. We can do it.
You can go.
I think I would have, to be honest, hated it if I didn't like Jackass. And if I wasn't such a Jackass fan, that's Jackass, the Jackass franchise, I'm a fanatic about. It was my era, man. That was my era. Limp Bizkit and fucking Jackass. That was me in high school. It's all I cared about.
That's us.
I went to college parties, and then Wee Man, that son of a bitch, all I had was kicking myself in the head. That's all I had. So he did it on national television, and I'm not as cool anymore because he's doing it on TV. So I had to go to college parties underage and crush cans on my head with my foot for $1. I can't do that anymore because I have a tummy now. So it doesn't work. Now it's I got to kick a 2-liter bottle because it's out farther.
It was a sad day. It was literally last week when I realized I couldn't kick myself in the head anymore.
I feel like we both need to try this on the Jericho Cruise.
I think we do, because I was watching Jackass 4.5 came out on Netflix.
So good.
And I watched it, and they made the joke about Wee Man used to kick himself in the head, and I stopped and went, wait, can can I do that? And so like I set up, I'm like, all right, here we go. Like I would have, so many people, I should have put this on like OnlyFans or something. So many people would have watched it. And then I tried doing it, couldn't get my foot up. And that was like, oh, that hurt, like literally and figuratively.
I feel like with my dead feet now, because my last back surgery, I could just kick the shit out of my head and I wouldn't feel it anyways. So I have way more of an advantage than anyone. So I need to train to kick myself in the head. Like that.
So you have like a Mr. Deeds foot? Like, can you like stomp it? And
I laughed about that after the surgery, and that's what I kept calling it. Is just put a fire poker through both my feet. It's fine. Like it's completely okay. I'll be walking around the house, and I laugh at this now because I can, as we do in our lives.
Sure.
I hate wearing socks in the house. It's a weird, horrible feeling. It's socks in the house. I'm very much against it. But when I do, I'll walk around the house and like I'll look down and the sock is halfway off my foot and I'll go, Landon, didn't know that was happening. And just that's my life. That's what I've come to realize.
Now, have you gotten to the point yet where you need help with the socks?
No, I'm not that husky.
Okay.
Are you speaking from experience?
Now, see, my back is good now. I can do it. But there was a time when I could not put the socks on. Stay right there. I'm going to show you something. Stay right there.
Yes.
Be right back. Be right back. Okay.
I know what you're going to do.
This thing right here was a godsend.
What the fuck is that? Did you make that?
No, it's like available. When my dad had hip surgery, they gave him this for his socks. It's a tube. For those of you who are just listening, it's a tube. You wrap the sock around the tube, and then you put your foot here, and you hold it here, and then you just yank it up, and the sock's on the foot. I can put my socks on now. I'm good. I still use this thing. It's just fun. It's just fun.
Very similar story, kind of. Ass wiping.
Ooh.
At our age and our thing is very weird. When I had to buy something because I blew my back out a few times, I had to buy a butt wiper. It's kind of a lifesaver for us because if you can't bend, we got this. This is all we got to go.
Yeah.
And to get there, I mean, we need a little more, especially you can't bend forward, you're done.
Yeah. Have you not been introduced to the magic of the bidet?
Again, Oshkosh money, Showtime money. You're killing me here.
Dylan.
You got a bidet?
Dylan.
Wow. Life-changing?
Dylan.
Howard Stern talks about it, and he's got that Toto toilet one. I'm a big Howard Stern guy.
No, I don't have.
You just got the clamp on bidet?
Yeah, I just got the clamp on bidet. Dylan.
Yeah?
Game changer.
All right. After we get off here, I promise you, I'll put it on social media. I am Amazoning because I've wanted to.
Yeah.
But also, I know I'm an adult and I can admit that I have a feeling when I get overserved, I'm going to be like, hey, man, how far does this thing shoot? Like if you weren't sitting on it, would it go? Like, I'll want to test it out and be like, hey, can I like put it into a glass? And that
kind of dude. So I did a gig one time. I did a corporate gig in China. They flew me all the way to China to do a show for this corporation. And they put me in a hotel that had a bidet, and it wasn't my house. So I experimented, and that thing shot across like the entire room. And I thought, who needs this setting? Who are you cleaning a whale's asshole?
Cleaning the back of your mouth at the same time somehow.
Yeah. That's like how strong it was. I'm like, oh, if the hotel catches on fire or the hotel across the street catches on fire, we're good. But Dylan, listen.
Okay.
So I used to say, like, splurge on your bed. Make sure you have a good fucking bed.
Yeah.
Splurge on your TV. Make sure you have a good fucking TV. And now I'm going to add, especially for dwarves, splurge on the bidet. It is game changer.
Okay.
You will look forward to your shits. Oh man, get a bidet and a squatty potty, bro.
No, do you have? I've been a squatty potty guy for a long time. I buy them for Christmas gifts every year because people make fun of me, and then they thank me for said squatty potty because it is a game changer. Do you have the tall one or do you have the normal?
I've got the normal one.
See, I feel like I need to upgrade to the tall one.
You think so?
I think.
Oh yeah, because for us, a normal squatty potty is just how everyone else shits normally.
My parents, let me tell you this. I was at my parents' house for Father's Day on Sunday. They got a new toilet about a year ago. I didn't know of this. I go in the bathroom, I drop my drawers, I go on the pot, and I hit and bounce off.
Yeah.
I go, well, that's weird. Maybe my legs aren't working today. So I get on this thing and I go, what the hell is wrong?
It's higher.
And I go to my mom, I go, you guys get a new toilet? Well, yeah. I said, you didn't think to tell me? I mean, it's not that much higher. I said, 2 inches is like 2 feet for me.
Big.
And they go, well, we didn't think about that. And my dad's just cackling, laughing about that. I said, I need a goddamn pole vault and a parachute when I take a shit at their house. It's not good. And my brothers go on, they go, oh, that's a nice one. Our knees don't hurt. My legs don't touch even more. I have to jump off this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you sit, it just cuts off the circulation. And then you have I
can't feel my legs as is, but it's even worse now. Yes.
Yeah. So no, squatty potty and a bidet. You never want to leave the toilet. You just want to stay there. If I could get a TV tray and a TV, maybe a Nintendo Switch. That'd be the best.
Love it. So we're talking about this and about obviously before our dream careers took off.
Sure.
This bidet and squatty potty would never have been a thing. Was there a time? What was the moment? You talked about the China being flown over there. What was the first moment where you go, holy shit, I'm doing it? You know what I mean? Like not the biggest it could be the biggest, like a good payday or this, but what was the moment where it finally clicked, like, oh my God, I'm doing this is really cool?
I did. So in Los Angeles, there was a radio show called the Kevin and Bean Show.
Okay.
And this very popular radio show in LA. And they did a comedy show every year called April Foolishness. I got on the show through a number of wonderful circumstances. And I got on the April Foolishness show. And on this lineup, I still remember it. I have a T-shirt somewhere with the lineup. It was Felipe Esparza, Ari Shaffir, Bob Saget, Jay Moore, Jim Jeffries, Eddie Izzard, Tim Minchin, and Bill Burr.
That's awesome.
And me.
On the bill?
Yes.
You were on the bill?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
So that was first of all, just being on that show, the fuck. Then I do my set. It goes Felipe, Ari, Bob Saget, then me. So I go on. I do my set. I get a standing ovation. Jay Moore goes on after me. When he goes on after me, before he even starts his set, he goes, just so we're clear, after Brad Williams, we're all playing for second. And when Jay Moore said that, I'm like, holy shit. And then Bill Burr does his set. Yeah. And he comes off, and I've maybe said a word to Bill before this. And then Bill Burr at this time is big, not what he is now, but he's like a god to me at that point. And Bill Burr comes off and he sees me because I'm hanging around for the whole show. And Bill just looks at me and goes, you should have fucking headlined it. And then leave. And that that was the time where I'm like, okay, I think I got something here.
Hell yeah. That's incredible. And what year was that?
God, I'd have to look it up, but
before your first special?
Yeah, that was before the first special. So I want to say like 2014, 2015. Yeah. So yeah, like awesome. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, it was and that's something that people should know because I started stand-up in 2004. And so that was like,
holy cow. I didn't realize that how long. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like 10 years. Now, does that mean I was, just shit that whole time or no, like you work your way up, you hit certain milestones and people will say like, oh, when was your big break? And you go, it's like 5 breaks in a row. 5, yeah. One thing leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing. So it's never just one thing. It's all the things that led to each other that you take advantage of. And so that's the quote unquote big break.
And I feel like, again, we realize it, you and I realize it, I think even more and more as we get to know each other and as we talk, how similar the comedy and the wrestling world are. Even just the levels of independent and starting out and training and then making it big, as people would say. That's nuts. That's incredible how, but as you said, the big break isn't the big break. It's what leads to the biggest break.
Yeah. Because then I do that show. That's on a Saturday. On Sunday, on the Kevin and Bean show, they call me up and they're like, hey, you had the set of the night. Like what the, like, and they talk to me and they pretty much announce on LA radio, like, no, Brad Williams is the shit. Brad Williams has arrived. But then it's like, so that's a break, but that it's not over after that.
It's leading to the biggest break.
Yeah. You don't just be like, well, that's it. I made it. They said I've arrived, so I've arrived. It's like, no, now you got to follow it up.
Yeah. How long from then, or was it, do you feel it was that then the comedy specials came to you for it?
Yeah, it was, I think 2017 was Fun Size. 2000.
Your first one was 15.
Oh, you're right. Fuck. See, you know my career better than me. You did because you took your notes. You did the research. Yeah. 2015 was the first one. 2017 was Daddy Issues, and then 2019 was Netflix The Degenerates. So yeah, it was all sort of that. Just kept it led to the next thing, and each one was bigger than the one before. So
views or audience, live audience and views, or just what do you? Yeah,
all. So Fun Size, the first special, 2015, that was at a comedy festival in Santa Barbara. A producer bought the theater or rented the theater for like 3 days, shot like 6 or 7 specials in that 3 days, and then was going to sell all of them to Showtime.
Not just of your set. These are different sets. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that wasn't a guarantee that set was going to get on. The theater was half full. They had to do some like creative camera work, like move the audience towards the front, but then also
like wrestling does, exactly like TV wrestling does.
Yeah, but then on one side towards the back because that's what the camera sees. Yep. So that was the first one. It got sold to Showtime, and then played successful. So the second one was just me, rented out the Alex Theater in Glendale, California, 1,200 seats, sold that sumbitch out. And that was just for me. Just me. No one else was on the bill other than my opening acts. So that's another little thing where you go, oh shit. Like I walk out, I see the gym camera, I see it packed, I see everything, and I'm like, oh, that's just for me. Like that, like that's just like that. that was a trip. That was a trippy moment when you're looking at a dude behind the camera going, oh, you have a job tonight because of me. Like, you'd be working somewhere else if not for me. Yeah. But like that's.
But that night he's shooting only you.
Yeah, that's a trip. So it's all these things. It's all the things that lead to the next thing, and then taking the time to look at it and go like, holy fuck, that was really cool. But then get on the horse and let's go more. And whether that be the next special, whether that be touring, whether that be the Cirque show that I'm in, or like for you, it's like, all right, the next wrestling gig. Okay, now we got to do a Twitch. Now we got to do
especially in this day and age, man. Tweets last 30 seconds. 30 seconds, like positive or negative. You fuck up, someone might fuck up the day after you and save your ass. You do something really cool, someone's going to do something even cooler that Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you were on Tucker Carlson. How many viewers does he get? Like 10, 12 million?
It was like 3.5 million. I heard someone said, and I was like, oh. And it was fucking so negative against, but it was because of what platform it was. Right. It wasn't what I said. And no one watched what I said.
No.
But then it was like, correct. Yeah. And that's like why I tweeted out like, hey, it was the size of the platform, not what the platform was in my mind. Because I don't get into that stuff. You know that. And like,
yeah,
it was literally, you and I talked about it. Fuck, you and I talked about the whole situation. And it wasn't, I knew it was a big platform to get my voice out there and to get and they reached out to me. It wasn't a me, hey man, can I be on your show? No.
Right. And so now you have the opportunity to talk and tell your story to that many people. I mean, you're not looking into all the shit. It's like, oh no, that's my chance. That's my chance to reach the greatest number of people with the message. And like you said, they asked you. If Rachel Maddow had asked you to go on her show, okay, you go on that show. If the Daily Show asked you, okay, great, you go on that show. Yep. John Oliver, whatever. Yep. But they didn't ask you. Tucker Carlson asked you.
Yep.
So I don't see anything. You won't get flack from me on that.
It's one of those things where if they would have watched what I said instead of the platform that I was on, that it would have been a completely different.
Yeah, because they see Tucker making Tucker face, which is that. I think I have to shit.
Yeah.
They see Tucker making Tucker face, and they're immediately triggered and be like, that's bad, and it's not.
100%.
It's not what you were saying, and what you were saying was great. You were saying was great. That was a fun thing that week for me too. Like
that week, that's another thing. There again, we talk about the impact of all media. Wrestling is here, like very. I mean, it's a niche at times. That's a whole nother thing. I got people, especially these Southern shows. I got people. Man, you were so good on Tucker. It was great. I loved what you said. You gonna do more about that? That other little guy, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. It was like, okay, all right. But it just opens my eyes to how many people watch that more than my audience. Like more than the audience I normally go to.
Yeah, and you can expand. And that was a crazy week for both of us. And for the people who aren't quite sure what we're talking about, to summarize, that was the Dinklage on WTF week. That's where and we're still doing this Snow White dwarf.
The soapbox. I was on my soapbox for how long, and it's got nowhere. Like I just did an Ethan Page vlog, and he did a toy hunt, and he had I found a Peter Dinklage action figure, and I specifically signed it. Fuck Peter Dinklage. And I thought about it. I was laughing. And then we auctioned it off on his whatnot. And it was like, the issue I have is there's no rebuttal. Like I would love, and I don't want to argue, but man, hear what I'm saying and rebuttal it. If you truly believe what the fuck you're saying, rebuttal it and say, hey, but it is.
And that's something to where we can sit and be like, I think Dinklage doesn't the new Snow White movie. We're still doing the dwarves, and we're sitting here like, well, if I had Game of Thrones money, I might sit back and say the same shit.
That check, those checks cashed for those little people roles, completely okay, man. Like,
yep, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, because so I've been asked before, like, oh, like, what do you think about midget wrestling, like the micro wrestling federation or whatever? And I go, are those little people fighting? Like, are they wrestling against their will? No.
This isn't the circus anymore, man. We're not getting whipped and chained in box cars against our will. We're not doing that. This is what we want to do. This is our dream. And if you're going to give me, no matter what the role is, if I get to be in a goddamn Disney film, yeah,
done.
Hell yeah.
Now, does that mean if I ever run into Peter Dinklage that him and I can't be friends or we're going to have words?
No, man.
Absolutely not.
Hell no. I would love to chat with him about everything he's done.
Yeah.
About everything he's done. Because he's amazing. The midget actor. Like, he's the one.
He's the guy.
You're the comedian. I'm the fake fighter. He's the actor. Like, that's it. That's all we got. There ain't an athlete. Like, I'm trying to think of like the midget athlete. The guy I fought at Rough and Rowdy is probably going to be the closest thing. But man,
yeah. There's some like weightlifter.
Jeremy Smith. That's what. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, but like it's sort of like we're allowed one in every industry, and hopefully that can change. Hopefully we can get more little people. I'm not afraid of like people are like, oh, but if there's more comedians, is that competition? It's like, no, it's more opportunity. Nick Novicki opens up for Nate Bargatze, great comic, dwarf. People can go follow him. The stuff Dwarf Mamba is doing on Instagram and TikTok.
Yep,
great. I met 2 other dwarf influencers at the Comedy Store. I forget their names, but they came up to me and they started talking to me. I go, oh, what do you guys do for a living? He goes, oh, we're TikTokers. I'm like, okay, when you say you're TikTokers, like what does that mean? And they go, it means we quit our jobs as computer programmers to be TikTokers.
It's
and I'm
insane,
like,
man.
Oh, good for fucking you guys.
Yep.
That's
if you're
great.
happy with what you're doing, who gives a shit what you're doing? Like,
that's great. Yeah, it doesn't hurt anybody else. You're fine. Good. So I'm stoked for this whole kind of little person renaissance. That, to be fair, Dinklage kind of got the ball rolling. He started it.
Exactly.
So, good. Like with him, Wee Man, you, me, Mamba, all these little people on these platforms. It's really a great thing because it goes back to the thing I said earlier, where now like Dwarf Mamba controls the message. You are now controlling your message. I'm controlling the message. Dinklage, whether I agree with it or not, he is controlling his message. He's not doing what the producer he's not doing the typical dwarf Hollywood thing. Exactly. So I'm happy for the guy. I'm happy for all their successes.
Hell yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap it up because we have been talking and we didn't even get to wrestling. So we're gonna do this again. I'm gonna take some time out of your laundry day again, and we're going to talk how we then made the connection to wrestling. But 2 things. You brought up the Eddie Murphy comedy special. So it made me think right now, because this is a lot of my viewers are the wrestling world and obviously that kind of thing. What are 3 comedy specials, old, current, that we need to check out right now? 3 of them.
Eddie Murphy Raw is classic, and by the way, there's so many good ones. There's so like these are just the ones that speak to me in particular. Like you could talk about Patrice O'Neal, Elephant in the Room. You could talk about obviously Chris Rock, Bring the Pain. You could talk about all that stuff. For me personally, Eddie Murphy Raw.
Okay.
Christopher Titus, Norman Rockwell is Bleeding.
Okay.
It's his first special. It taught me how to build tension, and when you build tension, the release and the laugh is so much bigger. So that's what that special taught me. It's fucking brilliant. and then Daniel Sloss. Daniel Sloss is a Scottish comedian. He's on Netflix. The special is called Jigsaw.
Okay.
And it's some of the most brilliant. I hate the fact that he's younger than me because he's so much better and so much smarter.
Yeah.
But here's my warning: is Daniel Sloss, and he brags about this. Only watch this special if you are very secure in your relationship. If you are, he brags about all the divorces and breakups that this special has caused. So if you're single, great, watch it. If you're in a relationship where you are at all on the fence, maybe don't watch it. Definitely don't watch it with your partner next to you because there will be a lot of there will be a lot of that. There'll be a lot of that. But it's fucking brilliant. That's and awesome. So those are three that I would say check out.
Awesome. All right, man. Plugs. Wrap up. Plugs. What do you got going on today? Upcoming. What you got?
Yeah.
Besides Jericho Cruise. Guys, check out the Jericho Cruise. It's going to be awesome. It's been pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. I'm waiting for it so much. Not only for this match, but just the belly flop contest. I'm doing. Like I literally saw your video and it made me laugh so hard that I was like, "Yep, I have to do this. It's happening. I need to do karaoke with Marco Stunt." It's just so much fun that it's going to be a blast.
It's the most fun. It's wrestling. It's metal. It's comedy. It's everything I love, and it's all on one boat, and it's great. So yes, so things are going on right now. I'm at Mad Apple in Las Vegas, Cirque du Soleil at the New York Hotel and Casino. I'm performing stand-up comedy there until August. Although I do have a contract negotiation in a few days, so maybe not. And then from then on, just go to BradWilliamsComedy.com. All my tour dates are listed there. Twitter at Funny Brad, Instagram at Brad Williams Comic. Follow, do the things. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you appreciate little people. So appreciate one more. Add to the Mount Rushmore of dwarves and Swoggle, Williams, Weeman, Dinklage. Let's go. Mamba, you're close. Mamba,
he's
you're
right there.
Close.
I think he's gonna start chipping off my face and putting it. It's gonna be very close.
I love that guy.
Guys, for real, we talked about the compliments earlier. I am trying stand-up things because of you. Legitimately.
Really?
Because of you. Yeah. That's the reason I've tried the 8 shows I've done is 100% because you've killed it and continue to kill it. And that's real. That's 100% because it's man, I have fun stories to tell. Oh, I have fun stories in WWE to tell. Oh, it's just stuff like that where it's because we both don't give a shit to make fun of ourselves. And that's truly how everyone should live. I really believe that. Make fun of yourself because then no one else can.
No one else can. Take the bullets out.
Yeah, man.
You use them on you Eminem 8 Mile yourself and you say everything in the rap. Yeah. Now they have nothing to hit you with. Dude, that's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. And that means that while on the Jericho Cruise, I might step into your world. That means you're now stepping into mine, and there might be some.
I would love it. Hell yeah.
There might be some tag teaming coming up.
Even better. All right, man. Well, thank you so much, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, smash the bell, all that jazz. This has been awesome. Truly, truly awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Dylan.